My name is Brian McGrath. I'm a Millcreek Township Supervisor. Thank you for joining us. With me today is Gary Walters, the new head foreman of the Millcreek Township Streets Department, and we're going to be talking about winter road maintenance, how we do it here in Millcreek, and how we would suggest that you do things at home. Gary, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Gary's been head foreman in the Streets Department for what, about a year or so now?
About 6 months.
About 6 months,
About
time
6
flies. But you've been with the township for what, like 60, 70 years?
It feels like it, Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gary's been with Millcreek Township Streets Department for a number of years. Seriously, about over 35?
Over 35, right around 40.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And been a very, very valuable part of our township, not only maintaining the roads, but he's also a volunteer firefighter and has been a chief at West Ridge a few times.
A few times.
And been with that fire department for a number of years also. So again, thank you for being here, Gary. What we wanted to talk about today was winter road maintenance. And like I said, the way we do things at the township and the way we would suggest things could be done at home. First, let's start out with some of the obvious stuff here, Gary. We plow, the township plows, obviously when we get, what, 4 or 5 inches of snow is typical?
We go out, we start with a salt event. Normally about 7 trucks. Foreman, 7 trucks, a mechanic comes in. We get things rolling. And then, you know, and it does occasionally start piling up. We accumulate 3 inches or so on the road. We start pushing it off. And then we call additional 10 guys in, and yeah, it takes us about 5 hours to clear the roads. 5.5 hours, 17 trucks, and while we're plowing, we're salting at the same time.
So that really cuts down on a number of things. Number one, you don't have as we used to do it, where the salt trucks would go out, call the salt trucks back, snow plows would go out, and the salt trucks would go back out again. Now it's more or less one fell swoop. You get everything done all at one time. You get the salt truck out there with the snow plows. You're done salting, or you're done plowing, and they can salt at the same time. So saves a lot of wear and tear on the trucks and speeds up the process. I know you mentioned, Gary, that we have 17 trucks, 17 plow routes. They can do the whole township in 5.5 hours. That's quite a bit different than the way it used to be. Let's say go back to about 20 years.
Yeah, you know, 20 plus years ago, probably maybe closer to 30. I think we had one wing truck which was located and took care of the Bell Valley area. And now we've got 17 routes, 16 routes have wings and tailgate spreaders. So yeah, we've come a long way.
It used to be it would take us at least 8, maybe 10 hours to do the township. Now you've got that down to 5.5. That's pretty impressive, actually, when you hear about some areas not taking into effect 6 feet of snow like they're getting in Buffalo right now, but a typical snowstorm where maybe an area might not see a snowplow for a couple of days. In Millcreek, if you have a prolonged snow event, you might see a snowplow 3 or 4 times in a day.
Oh, easily, easily.
Which helps out the residents, helps out we're always concerned with emergency services and how that's going to impact, how a snowstorm is going to impact emergency services. We want to be able to get the fire trucks or the ambulances out there as quickly as possible. Having the whole township done in 5.5 hours really helps.
A lot of times we do. We'll let the guys know this is going to be a 12-hour event. So you know, notify your families, and most of all, be prepared. I think that's the big thing. We're prepared. It's real important for the public to be prepared. So boy, plan your outings. If you don't have to go to the mall that day shopping, by all means, you know, let's do our job. We can't do it if you're using the roads. We can't repair, we can't clear the roads if you're using them. So by all means, if you can, you know, please stay home and let us do our job.
I know that the snowplow drivers would much prefer to plow at night, typically because there's less traffic. You get involved with a Black Friday or shoppers up around the mall trying to plow snow at the same time. they don't mix well.
No, no, no. Big trucks, small vehicles, no, it's a bad combination. And, you know, when these guys are going down the road, these trucks, they're 25,000 pounds. You get 10 tons of salt on, plus you've got iron hanging from the front. You've got a wing truck. You've got this working. You've got a lot of momentum. It takes quite a bit to stop these rigs, and it's important everybody watches out for us.
So when you see a snowplow pulling out from an intersection, don't try to cut in front of it because they don't stop quickly. And the other thing, I know a lot of our trucks, I believe most of them, will have a sign on the back that says "Stay back." You know, what the old sign that you see on semis. If you can't see the driver's face, the driver can't see you. Our plows back up a lot, right?
Oh, well, they do. You know, we've kind of gotten away from that a little bit. Once again, I want to emphasize the wing trucks. And between the wing trucks, depending on the time of evening, daytime hours when we're out there plowing, the guys change their routes up a little bit so they don't have to back up. But there's occasions where, you know, we have to, we either have to back up, get a little bit of momentum, clear the snow off depending on the weight, clean the intersection properly, you know, for the public. Mm-hmm. And yeah, we do. We still back up, but maybe not as much. And we've had, as you know, Brian, and you've been there, we've had mishaps with, with backing up big trucks and
people
little
get too
cars.
close, and the driver can't see the car behind them, and the next thing you know, there's an accident. And we want to try to avoid that.
Absolutely.
The other thing we mentioned, Gary, about having traffic on the roads, we in Millcreek Township have an ordinance that says don't park on the street in the wintertime. That's always an issue, not only for the snow plows, but for like I mentioned earlier, the emergency services for a fire truck or an ambulance. If you have cars parked on the road in the wintertime and that snowplow has to go around it, it creates an issue. Maybe you can explain a little bit about how we enforce that, how we, the township, enforces the no parking in the wintertime.
Well, let's see. We'll go out, we'll be plowing, and the driver will notice a vehicle on the road. You can pretty much tell if it's been there for a while or not. We get a number of snowbirds. Some of the guys take it upon themselves to maybe go to the door. Hey, how about moving your vehicle? It's a hazard. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, we're concerned about hitting it. Okay, it's parked illegally. If that continues for a time period, in fact, if we notice it, the police get involved. After a 12-hour period, it's up to the PD, and they'll take it from there. And it's going to be costly. Mm-hmm.
You're talking about having it towed.
Having it towed, exactly. Right. We don't like to do that. The police don't like to do it. We try and work together. Everybody work together. The motoring public, give us a hand. Back to parked cars. I don't know why anybody would want to leave their car on the road. And once again, we've had mishaps. Mm-hmm. We can open them up with a truck like a tuna can. But they're illegally parked. During a snow event, can't have anything on the road. They really frown upon it.
Just makes your job tougher, trying to keep the roads clean, and it's a hazard. You get, like you said, a 25,000-pound vehicle coming down the street. It looks like a pile of snow sitting there. If you get a big snowstorm, it just looks like a big pile of snow sitting there. And if it's at night, maybe that truck driver doesn't even know it's a car.
Yes.
And the next thing you know, there's a problem. So.
Right.
We want to avoid that. We want the people at home to avoid it. Our ordinance says that if you're on the street for more than 12 hours or 12 hours after you've been notified, it could be towed. If it happens a third time, we don't have to give you the 12 hours. It's just going to be towed. We don't do much of it. We don't tow a lot of cars in the township, but there have been occasions where we have a lot of snow. Yes, it does snow here in Millereek quite a bit. We have occasions where there's a lot of snow and those cars have been sitting there for an extended period of time. They have to get towed. So unfortunately it has happened. We like to avoid it, and Gary, like you say, you're going to get noticed, but after you've been noticed, you better better get it out of there. One other thing that creates a lot of problems, I know for you, Gary, and for the residents, getting mail in the wintertime. This last snowstorm that we had, the beginning of November, it was a real wet, heavy snow, and that typically creates a lot of problems for mailboxes. Maybe you can explain how we address that.
Well, to start with, if we're plowing, we hit it, we fix it. However, back to the snow, back to the wet snow, your box it's going to be a casualty if the snow hits it. We're not going to. It's totally up to the homeowner. We hit it, we fix it. If the snow damaged by the snow that's coming off the plows, I'm afraid you're going to be responsible for it.
And what you're saying is our policy about if we hit it, we fix it. That goes maybe quite a bit beyond what a lot of, especially PennDOT and other municipalities will say. They address mailboxes and snowplows. We're allowing you to put your mailbox in our right-of-way. If something happens to it, that's your responsibility. Millcreek goes a step above and beyond, where that if our plow itself, if the metal actually hits the box, we're going to fix it. If it's the snow, chances are your mailbox probably wasn't sturdy enough to withstand it, and that's going to be up to the homeowner. So you get a lot of those, don't you?
Yeah, we do. The big thing is installation. If you can install your box, according to the ordinance, 45 inches from the ground to the bottom of the box, that's going to clear a path for our wing trucks. That's going to help a lot. Another thing, it doesn't hurt to put a reflector on the box. Okay. Clear some of the snow out from around the box. That helps us. That helps you. That helps the mail carrier. Anything you can do to help us out. But once again, Brian, if we hit it, we'll repair it. We'll replace it. You
talk about clearing out around the mailbox to help not only avoid damage to the mailbox, but also help the mail carrier. What about when someone's clearing out the end of their driveway? I know that we go through this a lot. We get the phone calls. Pam, your secretary, gets a lot of phone calls. Hey, I just got done cleaning out the end of my driveway. It took me 2 hours, and your snowplow came by and filled it back in again. It's not like your guys are waiting around the corner for them to finish their driveway so that they can come by and fill it in again, but it happens. It's all timing. What do you recommend for someone when they're cleaning out the end of their driveway, so maybe you eliminate some of that snow that's going to go back in there?
Well, yeah, when the plow comes around, where we're having problems more and more is when we get a windrow of snow when they come around a corner. That first driveway is going to get nailed, and it does every time. Do what you can do to remove the snow before the driveway.
As you're facing your house on the right-hand side.
Correct. If you can do something like that, that's gonna help a lot. It's gonna help you a lot. We get calls constantly about you just filled my driveway. I've got to go to the doctor. I can't get out. We get this from a number of people. And we, believe it or not, we do what we can do to correct that. When we get a complaint like that, we'll take the driver out. Let's go for a ride. Let's see what we can do to correct that. And a lot of times we can. It's just the nature of the beast. And keep in mind, when we get home, we're doing the same thing. We're clearing out our driveways.
That's right.
Another thing, we get calls a lot. I haven't seen a plow here in quite some time. And I hate to use this, but I will. Someone's got to be first, someone's going to be last. We'll get there. Back with the plowing and the period of times we're out there, you'll see a plow. If we're out there for 12 hours, it'll plow your street twice. We'll get out there and take care of that. And I can't...
But if the snow's coming down 2 or 3 inches an hour, it may not look like it if it's been 5 hours.
Well, right, exactly, right. I can't say enough about the guys. You're the same way I am, Brian. We've got great people out there. They're educated, they're hardworking, dedicated to the max. They'll stay out there as long as it takes. And well, you can relate to this, Brian, when we were putting 12+ hours in,
Yep.
you know, way back when, and the guys make the difference.
And it's not an easy task. It's not just Millcreek. It's anybody who's out there, whether it's PennDOT or the city or anybody else. These folks, these guys are out there 10 or 12 hours at a time, fighting traffic, maybe blinding snow, and pushing a 25,000-pound vehicle around. It's tough, and it's tough on their bodies, and it's tough on their minds too. It's tiresome, right?
You know, the guys in the city, unbelievable. Okay, you gotta compliment them as often as you can. Park cars.
Yeah.
I mean,
narrow streets.
That's it. The streets are narrow. The cars are in the streets, one thing after another.
Yeah.
And they do a fantastic job.
Yes, they do. If we could just go back a little bit, Gary, we talked about 5.5 hours now to do the township, which is great. Things have changed also, not only in having a lot of wing trucks now, but we have an east side facility that we started, I don't know, it was a while ago, 7 or 8 years ago probably. It's on Old French Road, and it's the George Polakis building. But tell us how that has helped out cutting down on the time it takes to maintain the township.
Back to the comment I made about dedicated guys. Okay, I think before the building was there, I think we had a trailer. It was a construction trailer.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, just to get the people over there, and we parked the vehicles outside. We did a number of things temporarily to make this work, but it cuts down the time, the response time. We utilize the guys that are on the east side that live in the Kearsarge Bell Valley area, and it works out really well. Back to dedication. I remember that construction trailer, that job trailer. Maybe a little propane heater, something. Spent a great deal of time in the trucks trying to stay warm, but they man that area for 8 to 12 hours sometimes. And but the response time is critical, especially in the wintertime. The fire departments, the ambulance, it's really cut down. It's helped us a lot.
Well, they don't have to. Not only do they not have to come over to 26th and Kahi to report to get their vehicle, but having salt over there helps out a lot too, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. We've got a salt barn over there. That one holds, Brian. And I'm being conservative, and easily 1,000 ton. And we've emptied that, as you know. Check out the bills.
Yep.
Okay. So that's worked out really, really well. We've made that garage not only for store the vehicles, but we do quite a bit of maintenance over there too.
They blow up a chain, they can pull in there and fix their chains.
Exactly. I mean, the PD uses it. We've got MPS over there. It's a great building. It's working out well for everybody.
Instead of having to drive back across town half hour or more to get another load of salt, they just pull right into Old French Road.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, it does. It works out good. We've got room over there for expansion. We've got to put that on our wish list eventually. And it does. It works out well.
Good.
Real well.
You talked about salt. That was a big issue last year. People all through the East Coast, all through the United States, actually got hammered with snow. We were number one, and we went through a lot of salt last year. I guess it was over 8,000 tons. What do we typically do in a we'll call it a normal year? How many tons of salt?
Oh boy, that's a good question, Brian. Let's start with, we use when we have a snow event that takes 17 vehicles, we use about 300 ton for an event. We actually
one snowstorm, you're going to go through about 300 tons.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. And it looks like we're spreading more. Because every vehicle's got a box. Okay. Actually, we're using less, believe it or not. But we did. Last year was not typical. We emptied the barns practically. I don't think services were never compromised, but we had to change our tactics up a little bit.
We had to go from straight salt to a mixture.
A mixture.
Putting some anti-skid down.
Exactly.
Right? Mm-hmm.
And then once we got it built up. We were doing fine.
Yeah.
We were doing good. The weather helped us out a little bit. Our supplier, things were getting better there.
Yeah.
And no, we did rather well. Yeah. Would we get 138 inches of snow?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not a record, but it was way up there. And when you're talking about using 8,000 tons of salt, I think we're paying over $50 a ton. It's like $54 a ton. That adds up. You're spending a lot of money on salt. You want to try to stretch it as far as you can. Mixing it with anti-skid, that was necessary for a couple of reasons. Number one, to stretch the salt. And number two, we were blowing up the budget.
Yeah, yeah. I think we, correct me if I'm wrong, I think in 13 and 14 we used about 8,000 tons.
Right.
Didn't we?
Yeah, that's right. And
Okay.
I think normally we bid about 6,000, so we're hoping that we're in that area again this year. Gary, you touched briefly on the East Side building. We talked about that a little bit. I don't want to tell like old war stories, but getting back to being able to have the guys respond quickly. Years ago, from what I remember and what I heard stories, didn't some of the guys actually take the plows home at night?
Yeah, you know what, I'll tell you what, I just got there when this was actually happening.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, we did. We had, I think we had a gentleman in the Bell Valley area that would take the grader home. Okay, and that was his vehicle used for plowing.
Yeah.
And I think maybe we had a gentleman, and he became one of our foremen, did the same thing, that lived on Zimmerly Road area.
Yeah.
Okay. And, but yeah, we did. Those outlying areas that maybe got a little bit more snow, at that time it was allowed. And it was a benefit.
They'd kind of plow their way to the township and then plow their way home at night.
Yeah, and one of our foremen uses this often with some of the employees. You don't have a plow route. Your route is from Kohler Road to Millfair Road. Okay? So,
yeah.
And that's what some of these gentlemen did. You had to pull the plug on them to make them stop.
Yeah. Now we have a lot of state roads in the township. Obviously, we have over 200 miles of our own roads to maintain, but there's a lot of state roads, a lot of PennDOT roads also. What's the policy, what's the township policy on one of our plows getting from point A to point B if they're traveling over a state road? Are they going to put the plow down? Are they going to clean that road off on their way, or is that a no-no?
No, we do. We're into protecting the public.
Mm-hmm.
It starts at home. So, no, we do. We don't frown upon it. We don't encourage it because, to tell you the truth, under the snow, it's like the Bermuda Triangle. What's underneath? What do we got going here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but we do. We plow from A to B. If we have to plow the road to plow a PennDOT road, we have to. We do. It's we're out there for we're out there protecting the public.
If you get an emergency call, whether it's police, fire, ambulance, maybe the Millcreek plow has to hit the PennDOT road in order to make sure it's open.
And we do. We jump around a little bit to cater.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to. Just last week, the police chief called. Hey, we're having real issues here. What can you do to help us? Well, we'll do anything you want to do, Chief. Where do you want us? Okay. And these guys are a phone call away. So, wherever we're needed, whatever we got to do, the snow's a real problem.
Serving the public, whether it happens to be a Millcreek Street or a PennDOT Street, we're going to try to get it done. I know you mentioned, Gary, that it's Bermuda Triangle underneath the snow. I think what you're referring to is maybe there's a manhole that the driver's not aware of, or something else hidden, or whether it's a concrete curb. And if that plow driver isn't familiar with that area, that can create a real problem, can it?
Absolutely. Not only does it damage the vehicles, it damages the guys. We've had injuries. Let's see, way back when we had lap belts. okay, not a shoulder harness
Right.
in the truck. You know, we did. We laid up some people, and they are a hazard. Things are improved so much, okay, with these manholes. We're going out prior to the season. We're doing a lot of prep work. You know, we spent a month just going through all the plow routes, you know, fixing them up.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we do. And at the same time we're doing that, we're trying to use the guys that are in that route if there's some changes. Road cuts.
Yeah.
Okay, look at this road cut. Okay, remember this. What's it going to do? We got a frost. What's going to heave? What isn't going to heave? You know, be aware.
It's
you know,
not the manhole that comes up in the wintertime necessarily, but the road may actually come up and then go back down, exposing some of that manhole. And
exactly.
like you said, Gary, guys get hurt. You haven't lived until you've going down the road at 30 miles an hour and hit a manhole, and those things don't move. Before we wrap up, Gary, I want to just touch on one more thing that I know that is very important to the snowplow drivers and to the public. We urge people to put stakes out along the side of the road, along in front of their homes. I think what we say is every 50 feet, put a 4-foot stake. What's the reason for that? Why do we want those stakes along the side of the road?
It's going to minimize damage to your property. That's the big thing. We've got new drivers. We got drivers that change up routes. They don't exactly know where they might be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, by all means. One more little thing. A lot of decorative rocks bordering properties.
Yeah.
You know, if we hit one of those, it's gonna roll up. It's gonna roll into your driveway, up against your house. If your vehicle's in the driveway at that time, it could damage. You know, we can launch them. So,
Yeah.
Stakes are big. Stakes are very important.
Stakes are big. It helps out everybody, particularly the homeowner. That's
Yes.
right. Gary, I want to thank you for joining me here today. I think we covered a lot. We get a lot of snow in Millcreek Township. We get a lot of snow in Erie County, and I think that everybody can benefit on some of the things that you offered today. So I want to let you folks know that we appreciate you joining us here today. My guest has been Gary Walters. He's the head foreman in the Millcreek Streets Department. My name is Brian McGrath, Millcreek Township Supervisor, and hopefully we can present some more informational programming in the future. Thank you for joining us.
You're watching the Millcreek Government Channel, powered by WQLN Public Media.